Did you hold on?
Yes, I looked at the outline.
What's up, Max Ordinate Nation? Jeff, you got a, you got a similar background, right? And I bring
I
this
mean,
up because
oh yeah.
we've had one person reach out and say, no podcast for a month. I've had a couple other people say, where's the podcast been? And then I think somebody got very specific about last podcast sometime in April. What's been going on, dude?
Well, it's been busy, of course. I think I underestimated the amount of work it was going to be with the new baby, with some of the fitness and health stuff I'm trying to get done, and of course your schedule and my schedule just not matching up. But yeah, I mean it's been good. Things have been rocking.
That's the
Schedules just
problem.
been
It's been
tough
too
with.
busy. It's been too
Yeah,
busy.
the problem is it's just been the babies haven't been sleeping, and I've got a real finite window now with everything moved back. So we sort of made those adjustments, and I think we're in a good spot now.
I don't know what I like better because for me, while I'm over here, when you're like, hey, I can do 1 o'clock, the baby goes down for a nap at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, it's 5 a.m. That's not bad, right? But when I normally wake up at 4, head to the gym at 4:30,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that crazy for me, right? Sometimes you'll, hey, I can do 11 a.m., 3 a.m. for me. So I
Yep.
get up 2:30, get ready. But the question is, which one is better? If we do 3 a.m., if we could just get the baby to understand they got to go to bed at 11, take the
Well,
nap at
so no,
11.
if we do 11, it's because we're trying to get it done before the baby.
Oh,
Here's
didn't
the,
we
here's the
used to?
kicker.
I thought we used to do it when the baby went down at 11.
So we used to do it at noon. The baby used to go down at noon. Now she's pushed her nap back to 12:30 or 1. Well, the toddler, I should say. The baby goes to bed whenever the 4 month old goes to bed whenever she wants to go to bed. For me now, my nap time has been my gym time. So now when I do this in the afternoon, I have to now work out after she goes to bed tonight. So I won't work out till 9 o'clock tonight.
So that brings me to what I wrote next to your name in the outline I sent you. I said Dexter. Do you know what that means? You know what that refers to?
I mean, I've seen the show Dexter, but I'm not sure what the reference was.
Okay, so I've been watching Dexter as like what I can fall asleep to at night. And I'll catch little glimpse of it here and there, right? So I'll fall asleep and like I don't know how many episodes play before Netflix shuts everything off. Well, I'm already passed the fuck out.
Yeah.
I think I'm on season 4 or something like that. At some point, he got married to a woman, right? And she's got 2 kids, and then she gets pregnant. And now they have a baby, right? So, like, I guess season 4 is like him living this fatherhood life while also working for the police and being a serial killer at night.
Yeah.
And dude is just pulled in all different directions.
So busy. Well, yeah. And so the flip side to that too is I started a new fitness program aside from my normal golf program, which we'll get into that in a bit. But so I'm putting way more time into my golf program, way more time into my fitness right now, along with we have no more contractors here. So all the finish up stuff on the house, fence, yard landscaping, that's all the finished stuff that I have to do. So I wake up at 5, I get 30 minutes to myself, dude, and we are both go until 9 o'clock at night. And
It's
that's if I
ridiculous.
don't work out at night.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude. I mean, it's got to end at some point, though, right?
Yeah, I will. At some point, the house stuff will be finished. Um,
When you
this,
are 65 and all
yeah,
children have grown.
yeah. I mean, the nice thing is now that the oldest daughter is graduated high school, rather than going getting a new job and some other stuff, she's going into college and she's going to stay here and kind of help as a part-time nanny. So we've got a little more help around here, which is nice.
That's the way to do it, man.
Yeah.
In-home nannies that work
Well,
for rent.
yeah, exactly.
So, anyways,
Well, what about you? I didn't see you much on your last trip here. I saw you what for
yeah,
30
you know,
minutes of,
I
when
was
I thought I was going to have to kill somebody, and it turned out I didn't.
it was yeah, we got the limited time. It was just training, dealing with the range, and then multiple competitions. So, I came back and it was grab the guns, reload, get the ammo situated. There wasn't much to that. I just load a previous load. It's good. I went to the PRS regional competition down in San Diego, and I have very high expectations, right? Now,
Yep.
being gone for, this was my first competition for a year. I haven't competed in any matches in over a year. So I kept telling myself, this is a practice match, right? For me, this is going to get me back into the groove and it's going to get me ready for Steel Safari. Everything's going to be great. It's going to work out. I need this practice match to bring me back to my area. But once you're in the match and you're making mistakes, mental problems, wrong target, wrong hold, like whatever mental error you could make, I probably made it that day. And the plan that you go into, this is just the practice match. This is just to get me warm back up. That plan goes out the window when you have such high expectations that you're like pushing yourself. I need to be better. Oh my God, I can't do that again. Right. So every stage was a learning lesson. And then at the end of the match, it's like, okay, there's, 60 some odd people there. I'm expecting to be top three, and I didn't break the top five. I came in at
It was like,
seventh.
oh, I thought that was like 13th.
So I was like, damn, I'm fucking behind the curve here, like so many things that went wrong. You know, and it's hard to put like you can train for that, but you can't replicate that. You can't replicate
Yep.
things that match directors will do to you. It's just challenging. So, yeah, there was a lot of like coming to Jesus type shit where I'm like, okay, I need to square myself away. And then, Steel Safari the following weekend went much better. And, I think I was a point or 2 points from winning. Curtis ended up edging me out. And even that match, dude, like I was on it. I was dialed in for 3 days, right? But I've got 6 or 5 different points where I made a mistake. And that's the difference, right? We've talked about that before. Like the difference between second, third, and first is the mistakes that you made that somebody else didn't, right? And man, it was a blast. It was a good time, but I kind of needed that finish to tell me that not all was lost, right? Because you kind of get the feeling like that when you're removed from this arena so long, and then you come back and like, bam, a regional match, and you can't even break the top five. You're like, fuck, I have lost it, right? You're
Yeah.
like, fucking, you're like Michael Jordan when he came back to fucking the Charlotte or whatever, you know, he's not in his form anymore. He doesn't look like him, and it felt horrible. But
Yeah.
it is what
And
it
I
is,
think
man.
we've talked about this before, and I'll share a quick golf story, but you you can only practice so much, but the only way to get better and to improve is to go out and do the thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's to go out and shoot the matches. It's to go out and actually play golf. My coach tells me all the time, you're not going to get any better sitting in your studio hitting on sim. You have to go play. And I'll tell you something that is real quick story. I had the men's match. I think it was 2 months ago. I'd been playing really good golf. I'd just been grinding away in the studio. I went out and shot a couple practice rounds, but I haven't shot any competitions in a while. I've just been going out and playing casual matches, and I'm shooting 1 over, 2 over. It's really hard courses. close to level par. I went out in the match. My nerves got the best of me. It was 2 days of the worst golf I've played in probably 10 years. I came in dead last out of like 150 people. And I'm pretty sure I shot mid 90s 2 days in a row. Right.
Yeah.
And I came away from that weekend going, I just don't got it anymore. Like I can't play. Um, and immediately went out and shot another match. I did really well. And if you're not doing the thing and you're just practicing for it all the time, you're not going to get any better. So every once in a while, you just have to be like, I got to go shoot a match. I
Yeah.
need to go. I can only practice so much. I got to go shoot a match in order to see what happens, because you can't practice for the things that the judges are going to give to you. The match directors are going to put you in
Yeah.
front of.
Yeah.
Those are things you can't practice for.
So what you're saying is playing a sniper on Call of Duty is not enough practice.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just want to be sure.
I will tell you one thing that does correlate. You ever flown RC planes?
No.
If you fly RC planes a lot, you can hop on a regular plane and just fly. It's the weirdest thing. Unrelated.
I mean, I've had dreams of buying an ultralight airplane and flying with no license. I've also
Yeah.
had dreams that I'll crash. So, I mean,
Yeah. Well,
maybe I should learn how to fly an RC plane first.
yes.
So,
Before we build a plane and put it at the range.
yeah. Before we move on, just the golf thing that you brought up. I didn't realize that Tiger Woods, who, I mean, would you say he's one of, if not the greatest golfer? Like,
Yeah, it depends upon what metrics you're measuring by, but yeah, I would say, and not a huge fan of his, but I would say objectively, he's probably the best golfer to ever play the game.
I mean, I remember, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, he was a killer.
Yeah, no, he still is. And he's still, his record, his record is what it is. And if you look at most matches ever won lifetime, the only reason why he's not number one and he's only off by, I think it's one or two, is because the next closest person, or the person who actually has the record, the definition of a tournament match changed over the years. And so you have the golfer that has the record played matches that were 10, 12 people that he won,
Yeah.
kind of thing, not with a whole different field.
So I can only imagine his mindset right now. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine his mindset right now, similar to maybe what you're thinking, maybe not, because he's getting paid to just go out there and do the damn thing. I was listening to it the other day. He is ranked like 126th.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a fall. What a fall from the number one player in the world to getting old and not cracking the top 100.
Number one player in the world for the most weeks ever. So we're not talking like he was just number one player in the world for a while. We're talking 300 weeks.
Yeah, fucking Father Time catches us all, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, the main event for this podcast, training philosophy, okay? And you saw all the notes. I try to be pretty detailed and give you a little heads up on some of the stuff that I'd be asking you, right? So yesterday, Instagram, maybe Facebook, I'm not sure if it always posts to each side when I tell it to, but I threw a post up that talks about, is tripod or alternate position shooting something that should be included in a basic course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I figured you need to define basic, right? What is advanced? And there's other people out there who say none of it's advanced, right? It's all fundamental. So I figured we would define some of these words and then try to break it down as to when you are training basics or you're signing up for a basic course, what should you expect and what should steer you away from attending that training if you see something that's not a basic skill, right? So by definition, basic is forming an essential foundation or starting point. a fundamental, right? So
Mhm.
then I thought, well, we got to define fundamentals. Let's get the actual definition. Forming a necessary base or core or central importance, and a central or primary rule or principle on which something is based. So you can have tripod fundamentals, you can have supported position fundamentals, right?
Mhm.
But if we're talking about marksmanship as a whole, being a precision rifle shooter, would you consider tripod and alternate positions a basic or fundamental skill?
No.
I don't either, right? And this has been some things that kind of pop up, and I don't have any companies to reference. I've seen it before. I've seen it with civilian stuff. I've seen it with law enforcement where, and I think it's the law enforcement one that actually got me thinking about this because there was a basic sniper course for SWAT guys to come and learn how to be a sniper.
Okay.
And it included tripod, alternate positions. So when you
And
think
that's
about
fair.
being a professional shooter, right? In
Mhm.
that capacity, they are a professional, gun holder. They are coming to a basic course because why? They lack a foundation. They don't know what they're
Yeah.
doing with the gun that they've been issued yet. How many days is appropriate to train prone, build the fundamentals, right? And we're talking about everything from like how to set up your rifle, understanding your rifle, how to fix malfunctions, the trigger press, the breathing, sight picture, sight alignment, using your scope. You go through all of these things, right? And we always talk about like becoming a master of something or building a habit. You need thousands and thousands of reps.
Mhm.
Are you getting those thousands of reps in, let's say, a 2-day period, right? I'm just thinking about our course, like whether it's basic or advanced, we essentially have 4 days of training. And then we have one day where we're testing everything they've learned up to that point, right? So you don't really have a training day at that point. It's now an evaluation. So if you got 2 days to train the foundational fundamentals, prone and everything we just discussed, if you move them into tripod or alternate positions, are you going to have that core foundation solid enough to be successful with tripod and alternate positions, right? And yeah, you might hit the target, but that's not what I mean by successful. I'm talking, are they able to translate the prone to the tripod, right? Because now you have movement, you've got all these other factors affecting you, and you still have to do all of those things to take that one shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think context matters. So when we talk about a basic law enforcement sniper course
Yeah.
versus a basic precision rifle fundamentals of marksmanship course, those are two drastically different things. So I think just the word basic needs to be put in context for the class, right? You can go as a new driver, you have driver education, driver training, where that is a basic, this is how you operate a car. And then you can take the basic of advanced driving for somebody that gets into, say, like law enforcement. We have a driver class, right? You have the basics of law enforcement driving. The assumption is you know how to drive a car. This is the basics for this profession. And then you have these advanced, driving courses, which are, the basics of race car driving type of stuff, which
Yeah.
again, there's some context if you already know how to do these certain things and you have foundations in these certain things. So for me, if I'm looking at a basic precision rifle class, I don't think there should be any tripod or positional shooting. You should be focusing on the basics of mechanics, the basics of internal and external ballistics. Those are the three things that you should know the
Yeah.
basics of in order to operate uh, uh, as a precision marksman.
And when you say,
Versus
yeah, when you say,
versus, yeah, go ahead.
all right, keep finishing.
let's say versus like a law enforcement basics of, basic sniper class, right? We sort of have to make the assumption that if someone is going into the basics of being a law enforcement sniper and they have to take this class, it's because they have already met prerequisites to even enter into that class, which is to have some fundamentals of marksmanship, right? So that's where I think it's the onus is on agency and not on the training company, right? And I think that's where law enforcement training gets into a weird spot.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, since we're putting context to it, like you're talking about, where you're saying that the agency has a responsibility to prep this guy, right? I think if you take experience into the equation, I know they have one training day a month, maybe two, right? As a sniper, from what I've seen, the departments are sending these guys to become something from nothing.
Yeah, and fair enough, because as I said that, I had just thought about the several people that I sent to training classes to be on the team, and I thought, yeah, no, I had to completely walk that back entirely.
So,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
you're not wrong.
I've had guys show up and say, and we start the class with, do you know what scope you have? Do you know what your
Yeah,
rifle is? And don't be embarrassed. Just give me the right answer. Give me the real answer. And
yeah,
dude,
no, you're not wrong.
you'd be surprised how many guys show up, say, I was given this rifle yesterday. I know zero. And they are
So
there.
how long is our law enforcement sniper class?
So we have two. We have the basic sniper,
The
which
basic.
is 5 days.
Okay.
And then we have the advanced sniper, which is 5 days, right? And I don't like putting tripod and alternate positions into the basic course. Sometimes it's happened. We'll have an introduction on like a Thursday afternoon
Hmm.
because the class is kind of ready for that, right? But for the most part, yeah, prone shooting can get monotonous, right? It can get boring, but you still need to figure out ways. And I feel like that is your job as the instructing company or the developer of the course is to make things fun, challenging, learning, right? With knowing that your goal is to perfect this one area. And I'm just such a strong believer of if you can't perfect the prone position, you're not ready for that next one, right? That next
Hmm.
one's going to throw you through a loop. It's going to mess you up, right? When we talk about, hey, call your shot, right? Or here's a good one. And this one happens. This one happens in every area that you can imagine: civilian, police, military. Hold left. The individual is using the left side of the reticle. Instead of moving the crosshair to the left, he's using the wrong side. And then when he
Hmm.
misses, you're like, fuck, he's, what's the wind really doing out there, you know? So like you're stepping back for a second. You're like, fuck, man, something's way wrong. You're like, you give him a correction, hold left this, and it goes further right. And boom, now you know that individual doesn't even know how to use the reticle for corrections.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you've got all of these things, and now you want to put that guy on a tripod and incorporate more movement, right? He hasn't learned how to press the trigger consistently yet, but now we're going to put him on a wobbly tripod and he's just going to be yanking the shit out of it the whole time. Like I don't believe in it. So when naming a basic, when naming a course, basic or level one, the question was, should advanced marksmanship skills be included? And then it got me to thinking, what's advanced? Because I've heard arguments from multiple people. You know, companies like us will say there are no advanced marksmanship techniques or fundamentals. everything is just marksmanship, whether you're shooting from the prone or you're shooting from a tripod. And I partially agree. The fundamentals don't change, right? But how you apply the fundamentals and how you achieve stability from position to position to position, they're also the same, but there's different techniques to achieve it. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? So,
Absolutely.
so it's almost like an advanced technique class versus an advanced fundamentals class, you know? But I've also been in a situation where, hey, we want this course to be advanced. And the question was, well, what's advanced? Define advanced. And my response, almost right off the top of my head, was no spotter. Get rid of your spotter.
Hmm.
Now it's time to operate independently by yourself, right? And I didn't know what the actual definition of advanced was. To me, being an advanced shooter would mean that you didn't need somebody to spot for you and give you corrections. And so then I looked up the definition of advanced. I found it on tealheadquarters.com for resume
Synonyms.
synonyms. Yeah. Right. So advanced is a term that conveys progression, a step beyond the ordinary, and a level of expertise that surpasses the basic. It's a word that signifies a deep understanding, proficiency, or skill in a particular area or subject. That kind of sounds like no spotter, right?
Yep.
So, on top of that, if you're moving to a tripod or to an alternate position, you need that level of expertise beyond basic, right? Like you got to have almost an intermediate knowledge of what happens when I do this. How does recoil affect me? How does my position? How does the placement of the buttstock? Like all of those things. Once you understand those, now I feel you're ready to move to that next level.
Hmm.
So, do you think advanced has a place? The word advanced has a place in marksmanship course names.
I mean,
Like, what's your thoughts on the whole advanced thing? Because
my
you're kind of torn, right?
yeah. So my problem is you look at how courses are named, period, and there's no continuity regardless, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't care what course it is. I don't care if it's carbine, pistol, long rifle, precision. Like they're so all over the board that you know, like if I see a class that says advanced marksmanship fundamentals,
Yeah.
like if I saw that, I'd be like, it's probably not. Like that's going to be my first thought when I see it
Yeah.
because it's such a buzzword, right? Um, so I don't know. Like I'm not a huge fan of the word. I think anybody that has, I don't want to say mastered, but is proficient in advanced techniques is
Yeah.
somebody that I would, for lack of a better term, I would consider a journeyman. Somebody that I can give a rifle and say, go do this, and they can just do it. Right now, there's different levels of that, but I wouldn't think of, advanced to come into any of my vocabulary for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just marksmanship, and it's different techniques that you
There was
may or
a
may not know.
yeah, there was a Marine Corps article that was written in a Marine Corps Gazette, and it talked about like different levels of proficiency, right? And it's interesting that you brought up like you're a journeyman. I didn't really think about those words that you would typically use in some type of trade craft, right? Like
Yeah.
electrician, things like that. Hey, I'm a journeyman electrician, and it's it's not a bad way to actually label shooters, I don't think. I mean, it sounds a lot easier than amateur, semi-pro, pro, right? Because I've I've started to have issue with the word professional shooter, right? I feel
Oh,
like
for sure. Me too.
just because you go to a competition on, a weekend twice a month, doesn't make you a professional shooter. Like, I feel like there's aspects of being a professional that don't come with going to competitions on, every other weekend and competing. Like, yeah, you might
Yeah.
be a good shooter, but you are not a professional, right? No one
Yeah.
is paying you to do that. That is not your life. You don't wake up Monday through Friday and execute things regarding that profession.
Yeah. And then the flip side to that is, you can be paid to be a shooter and you can be a professional. You may not be very good.
Right?
You know what I mean? So I've seen those. I've seen both sides of it. You have too. So the word professionals is sort of tough for me because that gets into, I get paid to do it for a living, so that means I'm the best. Well, when I was a B cop, I used to play frisbee with the kids. Does that mean I'm a professional frisbee player? I got paid to
Right.
do it, but
No,
I
that's a
wasn't
good
very
point,
good at
man.
it.
And I tell this to the Marines all the time. I'm like, look, you're expected to be a professional sniper. I want you to think about what professional means. You're expected to know how to do your job, how to solve these problems, and essentially complete the mission, right?
Mhm.
Once you graduate school, there is this expectation that you can do anything related to that rifle,
Yeah.
which is not the case. You went to a basic scout sniper course or you went to the recon sniper course, right? They taught you what you needed to know to be successful, but you haven't achieved that professional tag yet, right? You got to keep going. You got to keep growing, keep learning, keep seeking information. And ultimately, you will get to that point when you're the guy that all your homies come to when they got a question, or your command knows that realistically they can depend on you to accomplish something or give them an answer. Like, professional is so much more than just I wear a jersey and I compete on the weekend and
Mm-hmm.
but is there any other skill, job, profession, right? You kind of named it. In law enforcement, there's advanced driving techniques, but is there any other jobs or sports that you can think of that use the term advanced?
Hmm. I don't know.
Maybe just law enforcement?
I mean, I
The
off the
military
top
is
of my
pretty
head,
big about trying to stay away from that word.
yeah. I mean, so the only thing I can think of from uh, a title standpoint, and it's totally off topic, but would be uh, IT work, right? You have different levels of IT managers, and they use the word advanced a lot as they go up, because there's specifically different levels of help desk IT stuff. But like, I can't think of a single trade where, I mean, you're either a journeyman or you're not. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is, right?
So, with all this discussion talking about advanced whatever, right? I have become pretty fond of level one, level two,
Yeah.
and I think maybe even that could be confusing. Our basic civilian rifle course is titled Precision Rifle One. Jeff, what comes before one?
What comes before one?
Yes.
Zero?
Okay. Should we have a course labeled Precision Rifle Zero? And I
No.
ask this because I have received not just one person. I can't even fault one person. This has been, let's say, over the 11 years that we've been a business. I've had at least one person per year ask me if Precision Rifle One is for them. They don't know anything and they want to learn from the ground up all the basics. So what comes before precision rifle 1? Precision
I
rifle
mean,
basic?
as long as I've been putting on literally classes, it's been PR1, PR2, and PR3, right? Like, I've never thought about having a PR0.
I mean, I'm just
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, you could name or title a class, you know, the basics of precision rifle marksmanship, or you could get fancy to like try to dumb it down for people. And but no matter what you do, you can't always tailor to the lowest common denominator, right? So sometimes you've just got, cancel me now, you've got retards that just don't get it, and they're not going to get it no matter what you title it.
so because of the confusion for PR1, I started looking at some synonyms for advanced, right? Maybe we should change the advanced sniper course name for law enforcement.
Mhm.
Here's some synonyms. I want you to tell me which one. I'm just going to blaze through them, and you pick the one that stands out to you, right?
I go.
Evolved,
Nope.
improper, higher, developed, high, progressive. If we use progressive, I feel like we're just with the political climate right now. I don't think that word's
Yeah,
gonna-
I just
enhanced, late, modern.
so I don't hate enhanced.
Okay,
Um, but again, that's very buzzwordy.
true. Refined, educated, forward, newest, new, civilized, precocious, enlightened, contemporary, latest, matured, grown, full scale, aged, recent, perfected, mature,
So
current.
let's
Eh?
back up. Contemporary is not bad. Contemporary contemporary rifle contemporary precision rifle techniques, or contemporary precision rifle class. I don't know. I do like that word. Um, but what I think we're doing is we're switching out one buzzword for another, no
True.
matter no matter what we find.
All right. Contemporary, yeah, it's kind of a buzzword. Where did I end off at? Full blown,
Yeah, let's go.
ripe, full fledged, novel, newfangled, ripened, ultra modern, cutting edge, up to date, leading edge, now, present day, mod, space age, new fashioned, and super modern.
So I think there is so there becomes one issue with some of that, right? So now we start to get nuanced.
Yeah.
Advanced techniques are just that. They're advanced higher level techniques, which can be a synonym for modern techniques. However, modern techniques aren't always going to be advanced. They're just the newest. So now you start to get into, well, are they the newest ones or are they the more advanced ones?
Well, that's
Because
why
your
you got to
class said,
use ultra modern. There's no question at that point.
yeah, they're the really newest, but they still may not be the most advanced.
There we are with that. We can't get away from that word, can we? Advanced
No,
is here to stay, dude. That's
I think
it.
it might be. I think it just might be.
All right. I mean, I thought it was an interesting topic to discuss basic, advanced, and what should be in those. You know, now whether you're looking for a training course or you're looking for how to train yourself, right? I think it's important that they kind of relate to each other and in a manner of if I'm going to go out and practice, right? We've discussed this before about having a method to your madness
Mhm.
where you check your zero, you do a grouping exercise, like you warm up, right? Your every chance you get is an opportunity to build a foundational principle, right? So you start prone, 5 round slow fire group, right? Maybe you do a natural point of aim drill and then you start to progress, right? But you just don't show up to the range, throw your rifle up on the tripod and, get after it. I mean, you can, right? But are you seizing every opportunity to perfect the most basic aspect of shooting, laying on your belly and taking all the extra variables out that you can and just shooting, right?
No, you've got, no matter what you're training, no matter what sport, no matter what fundamental, there's two things you have to do before you do the thing, right?
Yep.
You need to loosen up and you need to activate. So you need to get your 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 body moving how it can move physically, which is going to be getting into the prone position, maybe doing some freaking planks, I don't know, but getting yourself set up to where your body will physically move that way with ease.
Yeah.
The second part is activation, right? You can't just go just stand here in the middle of the room and just jump and expect to hit your max vertical, right? You've got to activate your quads. You got to get them moving and working. So that takes some dry fire drills. That takes doing this for a little bit. You have to start activating your brain, activating some muscles that have been sitting stagnant for a little while. And then you can go and do whatever it is you're doing. I wouldn't go to the range of I wouldn't go play around a golf without spending a few minutes on the range, loosening up, activating my legs to get them to start working on command. And you wouldn't go throw a football without loosening up your shoulder a little bit and then, and throwing it full speed without tossing a couple small ones out there. So,
With shooting, it's challenging because anytime you're in a competitive environment or you show up and you're expected to perform,
mm-hmm.
you don't get that warm up, right? I mean, you do, but it's without a rifle. Like,
Yeah, and that's fine.
And I think that's where some of that training comes into play is like every time you've went out and you practice, you build and build and build so that you can execute on demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to what you're saying, there's still other factors, other things that need to be warmed up, like your body, your mind. And people ask me, like, before Steel Safari, we're about to walk 5 miles ish. It's going to be 90 degrees outside and it's going to last 3 to 4 hours and it's going to be exhausting mentally. Why are you working out at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yep.
That's my warm up. Like,
Absolutely.
for me, I'm trying to utilize like an hour of my time to essentially warm myself up, right? And I used to do this when I was a wrestler. We would warm up prior to an actual match so that you essentially already had a match. That cold start for your competition is no longer a cold start. You already had it, right? But you did it before it mattered, and now you're ready to go. So, uh, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had a quote where I think this was in that Netflix show that he did, Pumping Iron, where he talks about like identifying, looking at his body and identifying where he wants to build. And he would work on that area like a sculptor, like packing on muscle. If he wants bigger shoulders, bigger chest, like he would work on those things and he would tailor his program to build on these weaknesses. Can this mindset be utilized to become a better shooter? Whether you're a
Yeah, of
competitor,
course.
you're a professional, right? It can. Like you can look at this and I think one, you have to have an idea. Like you got to be pretty in tune with yourself if you're going to just identify weaknesses without executing something that can put it on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, for Steel Safari, I know that I had a couple mental mistakes and I did this, and that. How can I improve on those things? Or I can also set up different evaluations on 100-yard paper, shoot steel at distance, see if my wind calling for first round impacts is where it should be. Am I, you know, how do I evaluate these things? And I think it's important that you find ways. How's my tripod shooting? How's my alternate position shooting? How's my recoil management? How's my prone shooting? What's my wind calls look like? Am I good at holdovers? You evaluate all these things so that you can find areas that you have to improve and then work on them. Right.
Yep.
So,
And it
I don't,
takes, look, and it takes breaking those down and really drilling those things over and over again. And then not drilling those, testing those things, right? Because drills and tests are going to be different, but similar in this aspect that you've got to do that one specific skill kind of over and over to see where you're at with it and get yourself a baseline. Be like, look, this is where I'm lacking. I need to do this.
yeah, no, 100%, man. Well, we pretty much covered everything on the outline, dude. I mean,
All right. Nice.
we have discussed basic and advanced, and we've determined that advanced is a word in our vocabulary that is here to stay.
Unfortunately, it's here to stay for a while till we figure out something else.
I mean, we just went through the whole thing. There is actual data behind why we use that word now.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, it's a level above basic. It says it right there. So, anyways, thank you everyone for listening, sticking with us. We are back after 2 months. Make sure to check out our social media, our Instagram, our Facebook at Max Ordinate. And let us remind you, videos, seminars, classes are posted on our patreon.com/maxordinate1. We have different tier levels. One of the tiers, you sign up, you get access to all of our shit. We put all of our podcasts on there, all of our training videos, right? And they get uploaded to Patreon before they go live for the general public. The training videos don't. They stay on Patreon only. They're not uploaded to YouTube or anything like that. But there is one tier, Jeff, where every quarter of the year, you are sent something. Coffee mug, t-shirt, head beanie, right? Something. So that's pretty cool. Training videos, like I said, discussion seminars are for Patreon only. So if you're interested, you want to see some of the classes that we teach in our PR1, PR2, the law enforcement stuff, you can go on there, you can pull up those videos and watch me discuss every PowerPoint slide. So check it out. Give it a look. Again, we appreciate you guys' support. Jeff, we are out of here.
Peace.